Jerod, how would you best summarize this year? And did you learn maybe that the team is a little bit further away than you were anticipating?
I'm not going to get into that. Like I said, tomorrow we'll have a lot of time to talk about those things. But tonight it's all about these guys going out there winning the football game.
Jerod Mayo's final press conference as a Patriots head coach. He's Travis Thomas. I'm George Balekji. Welcome into Foxboro Rush. We heard Jerod Mayo say plenty of, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Tomorrow never came for him. Just a mere hour after the Patriots finished the season with the win, 23-16. Finished 4-13 on the season, now picking 4th overall. Robert Kraft announced that he will not be bringing Jerod Mayo back as the head coach of the Patriots. One season, 4-13 record. Trav, what did you think about this news?
Wasn't shocked. The only shocker to me was how fast it happened after that game. But I figured he would be fired along with the rest of the coaches today. But look, I mean, I don't know what week it was that I started telling you. It was early in the season, maybe 6-7 weeks in. I said, this isn't going to work. It's not working, and it's not going to work. Jerod Mayo was set up to fail. He had no experience as a head coach. Then you just thrust him into a rebuild? Like, come on. So he needed to improve just like the players did. We talk about Drake May being a rookie and week to week, things we see and how he's improving. And, oh, man, look at what he can do here. Imagine what he could do when he has weapons or an offensive line. It's the same with a head coach. Jerod Mayo needed to show us something, George, along the way. My God, the defense. You need to be lights out. Into the game, clock management. You need to be lights out. Your team needs to be buttoned up, not beating themselves with stupid penalties and boneheaded decisions. None of those things happened. None of them. This team never had an identity. He, as in Jerod Mayo, never improved his game as a head coach. You can't lose this many games in this league and regress the way this team did and keep your job. I told you that all year.
Yeah.
I'm not shocked at all. I just feel bad that the Patriots failed Jerod Mayo as a coach.
Jerod Mayo, you're right, was never given a fair shot. But Robert Kraft, as an owner, has to do more than just fire the head coach. A new coaching staff alone won't change how things are done in New England. We saw throughout this season just how much Bill Belichick was doing, how much he was covering. But Bill Belichick, the general manager, is why you fired Bill Belichick, the head coach, the greatest head coach of all time. Ownership needs to do more. Did Jerod Mayo do enough to justify keeping him? Absolutely not. But it's more than just a head coach. A Mike Vrabel, a Ben Johnson won't change things. What Robert Kraft did throughout this offseason, didn't interview a single head coach, just elevated Jerod Mayo, which he had baked into his contract. What Robert Kraft did this offseason, just elevate Ellie Wolf to become the head of his personnel department. Well, the top 3 guys that lead the Patriots front office, Elliot Wolf, Matt Groh, Patrick Stewart, are all carryovers from the Bill Belichick personnel regime. The reason you got rid of Belichick was because he was not good at drafting and free agency at the end of his tenure. He was tone deaf and not addressing true roster needs. A complete revamp, a complete rebuild, tear everything down and build it back up. That's what's needed for the Patriots. The foundation of this franchise was cracked. And they try to just fix it a little bit. No, tear the whole thing down, bring in a new head coach with his assistants, and bring in a GM that the head coach wants to work with.
Yeah.
This entire season, there's blame on Jerod Mayo. There's blame on Elliot Wolf. This entire season being a disaster outside of drafting Drake May is on Robert Kraft. So now it's on Robert Kraft, the owner, to fix it the right way. Don't put a Band-Aid on it by just hiring a new head coach. Mike Vrabel alone won't fix things. Resurge, revamp, redo everything. Personnel, front office, football operations, and coaching. The Krafts need to take accountability, and they need to take ownership that this is on them to give it the proper resources and structure needed for whoever the next head coach is to succeed.
Amen, brother. Listen, I thought this from the beginning, and I said it to you on several of these shows. I wonder if they should have just gone a different route with Jerod Mayo, and you would have done better by him, the man. Meaning, and I've said this to you before, he came from a business background anyways, post-playing career. It was Bill Belichick that got him into the coaching side of things. But I always felt, why didn't the Patriots just give him some cushy front office gig? I mean, if he's such a good business guy, if Robert Kraft loves him so much, why didn't he sort of take the Ozzie Newsome approach? Meaning Ozzie played for the Browns, later the Ravens, right? And he went front office route, and the rest is history, quite literally, right? Jerod Mayo didn't have the head coaching background any damn ways. I just wonder if maybe from the beginning it was fumbled. Instead of replacing Bill Belichick, which who the hell is going to succeed, by the way? No one talks about that.
Yeah.
Good luck following the GOAT, no matter who you are, okay? And then you give it to a rookie head coach. I almost think the fumble maybe was Jerod Mayo should go into the front office to begin with, work his way up there. And then, hey, George, skip the line there. Fast track him there.
Yeah.
Fine. Maybe he's your GM in 3 years. I don't know. But the coaching, that's a tough place to just insert people, buddy. Like you are, the head coaches are born. Okay. So it's just not this. That's why I kind of recognized early on this isn't going to work. And I just feel bad because Jerod Mayo obviously could be, I think, of value to the Patriots in a different position. Yeah. But the position he was in with no head coaching experience and following the GOAT, he was doomed. He was doomed, George.
But we'll never know because he can't stay with New England. The Krafts made a mistake on January 12th when they put out a release saying they are keeping Jerod Mayo long-term. They're negotiating an extension. January 11th, they elevated him to head coach. Yeah. January 11th, 2024. There was January 12th, 23. They put out that statement. January 11th, 2024, he became the head coach because that year in between, Bill Belichick's like, I'm not going to mentor and help develop the guy that is going to take my job.
That's right.
Jerod Mayo got stuck in the middle of a pissing contest between the Krafts and Bill Belichick on who deserves a credit for building up the franchise. It was Bill. It was Kraft. Jerod Mayo got stuck in the middle. And as much as they think they were doing him a favor by pushing him to be the head coach, they completely did him an injustice, man. He's 36 years old, and I don't know where he lands because they alienated him and isolated him. I'll end with this before we bring in Sean McGuire in a second. This was from the statement Robert Kraft put out after they fired him.
Okay.
Quote, when other teams started requesting to interview him, I feared I would lose him and committed to making him our next head coach. That right there.
Yeah.
That's the mistake.
Yep.
See the statement on your screen. That's a mistake made by the Patriots. That's a mistake made by Robert Kraft. If you really loved him, you would have let him go elsewhere, get more experience, and learn to be a coach on his own. But Robert Kraft forced this. He forced Bill Belichick out, and then he forced Jerod Mayo as a head coach, and he lost an entire season in his franchise where they're even lower than they were when he decided to fire the greatest head coach of all time. Let's bring him in. Sean McGuire of NESN.com. He was at Gillette Stadium today. The Pats won a game. Joe Milton played really well.
Yes, he did.
But that is not the story, Sean. What is it like being at Gillette right now where the news of Jerod Mayo's firing broke an hour 15 after the game went final?
Yeah, it was very strange. It was pretty much as soon as we got back up to the press box after being in the locker room and podium for a little over an hour. So it was very strange. You go from thinking all your stories are going to be out about, the Patriots draft and, losing out on the draft. And now all that stuff is obviously on the back burner with this news. So I wouldn't say I'm totally surprised by it. I would say I'm surprised with the timeline and how it went down tonight. Again, just less than 90 minutes after the game. I would have thought that if this was going to happen, which I kind of did, especially after Adam Schefter came out Sunday morning and informed speculation. I think that's fair to say. Once I heard that, I was saying, I'm like, all right, this probably is going to happen. I just didn't expect it to be 90 minutes after. I did expect it to be Monday, maybe even Tuesday.
Smeezy, give me some blame pie here. I mean, who do you put most of this on? Jerod Mayo himself, the Krafts, Elliott Wolf. Give me some blame pie percentages, if you would.
Yeah, I understand why you guys and Travis, I just heard, and Travis, I'll give you the credit because I know you did say, week 3, 4, me and George were up here saying we could not see Robert Kraft pulling the plug after 1 year, and you went against us. So credit to you. But I would say that the majority of the blame, in my opinion, falls back on Jerod. I know that it was a tough situation. I get the roster. I get, the situation he was put in, coming after Bill and everything like that. To me, I think that this had much more to do than wins and losses. I think it had to do with his messaging publicly. It had to do with, his saying something and walking it back the next day. It had to do with how little progress was made in development, behind the scenes. The fact that all these first-year guys, second-year guys really didn't show much of anything in week 17, week 18. And so I think that falls on Jerod. Again, and George, the point you just made about Robert Kraft's quote, I think is a great one. That definitely stuck out to me as well. I mean, to me, that's essentially Robert Kraft admitting that he made a mistake without coming out and saying it. But, credit to him at the same time, because I know we've talked about it on this show before too. The worst thing he could do is continuing on with that mistake, right? Staring this at it, having this stare him in the eye and thinking, we're going to run it back and have Jerod back for one more year. I just think, we haven't talked in a few weeks. I know the holidays have been a little strange with everything, but there has been so much change in these last 2 or 3 weeks, really the post-bye week stretch. If that post-bye week stretch goes a lot different in that last, in the last month, if he doesn't throw AVP under the bus, if they don't get blown out in week 17, just a really embarrassing showing. I think this could be a different conversation, but the fact of the matter is that, it went like it did and it only got worse. There was no improvement.
Yeah. We got Sean still there. He's just cutting out for a quick sec. But that's where, in the Adam Schefter reporting, Adam Schefter reported, quote, all along the Kraft family has wanted to stand by him and give him support. This was Sunday morning on ESPN.
Yep.
But over the last 30 days or so, the team has struggled. Fans have been angered. They've been apathetic. And it feels within the organization there is a shift. You go back 30 days. That's the beginning of December.
Yep.
Lost to the Colts where he led up a long game-winning touchdown drive to Anthony Richardson. Go into the bye. Come out. Absolutely flat and look terrible against the Arizona Cardinals.
They regressed.
Yep. Then the next week, leading the Bills 14-0. You end up losing 24-21. Everyone's going, hey, not bad, moral victory. I go, all right, so we're going to look at one loss and put behind all the prior games.
Right.
40-7. You lose at home. The booze rain down.
That
The
was the
concession stand lines aren't there.
That was
the
the one.
parking lots are empty.
Yep.
The stadium is empty.
Yep.
That's when the decision was made.
Yep. Yeah.
To Sean's point, which I think is great, like that Robert Kraft, and Sean's back. Let's bring him back on. Robert Kraft, like this long statement,
Yep.
This isn't written in 90 minutes. This isn't written after a game.
That's right.
This is written a week ago. Jerod Mayo knew going into today was his last game as a Patriots head coach. I'm confident in that. Sean, what I noticed was at the podium, the guy that always put his foot in his mouth all of a sudden wasn't saying more than a sentence.
That's right.
Was
Yeah.
that press conference, did that stand out to you as being a different Jerod than you've seen?
Yes and no, because I would say that I think that these pressers, or today's presser, has been kind of over the last 3 weeks. I think he put his foot in his mouth so many times that he finally got the hint of like, shut the hell up. So I do think over the last few weeks he's kind of condensed his answers or said things, coach's decision, with that Ramondre Stevenson thing the other last week. Mm-hmm. So I think he was going towards that, so today didn't stand out, but it definitely did, if you're asking from week 1 to today, I mean, a drastic difference, no doubt.
Yeah, when he was asked, do you expect to be back? He said, for me, it's all about this game. It's all about this game. We'll talk about that tomorrow, and made some coaching decision comments too.
Where do we go from here, Esmeezy? I mean, look, I want to bring you into George and I's conversation, okay? So George is like, he said a year ago, to the date. It's on tape. He said a year ago, okay, I'm happy for Jerod Mayo and all, but Mike Vrabel was a better option here. The Patriots made a mistake, and he was right, okay?
Yep.
So now here we are, and I'm seeing all over social media, Patriots fans, finally, now we can finally get Vrabel and make this right. I mean, Esmeezy, you tell me. It just feels a little cocky to just assume that Mike Vrabel, after you already told him we're going Jerod Mayo, okay, a year ago, now Mike Vrabel's hot shack on the coaching market. Him and Ben Johnson are the guys. I mean, couldn't Vrabel say, yeah, Well, you could have had me a year ago, Bob. I'm going to Chicago. Thanks. I mean, I guess my question to you is that are we too premature here to ordain Mike Vrabel the next head coach, in your opinion?
Maybe to say it's a definite, but I would without a doubt agree that he will be interested in the job. I just think it makes too much sense. And, we've seen so many reports linking. I know Tommy Curran was the first one to come out. I can't remember, it was week 14 or 15, somewhere around that time, and say that Vrabel would be interested. There was another report just on New Year's Eve that, this was the job that Vrabel wants, in air quotes there. So I think those things stand out. You hear today on Sunday, Mike Reese says that the Patriots plan to interview Vrabel. Chad Graff of The Athletic says that Vrabel is considered the front runner and kind of leading the charge, leading the pack in that. So I think that it makes tons of sense for the Patriots to go out and hire Vrabel. I also think the fact that Vrabel's contract expired just last week and he was able to, talk with teams. I can't imagine that the Patriots wouldn't have done any sort of back channeling. Yep. They knew that this decision was coming. Clearly, like you just said, the statement's out 90 minutes after the game, so they knew this decision was coming. And I don't think they make that without having any sort of background conversation with someone like Vrabel. I will say, I also thought it was very interesting. I think it was Jeremy Fowler this week, just the other day, said that he thinks Ben Johnson would be interested in the Patriots job because of Drake May. So, I think personally, I think that Vrabel should be the next Patriots head coach. I will say that I don't think it should be like this very quick moving process. Like, you just got out of that. So, let's have Ben Johnson and let's do a little bit more due diligence than we did at this time last year. But I do ultimately think that when it all, is said and done, I think that Vrabel is the best candidate for the job.
Yeah, I think to your point, I think it's great. Mike Vrabel meeting with the Jets and then this happening is not a coincidence.
No.
That's Mike Vrabel and his team putting pressure on the Patriots.
Yep.
Hey, I'm here, but I'm not going to wait around another year. And obviously, Mike Vrabel wants a job. He knows what he's walking into with the ownership. You have a young quarterback that succeeded and got better every week in spite of the lack of resources around him. $131 million in cap space. Could be more if they shed some more contracts. And he, as the reports are coming out from a Jeff Howe, he has a coaching staff ready to start with him. The reports coming out from Aditi Kinkhabwala with NFL Network that with a young, incredibly promising quarterback who proved every week, more cap space than anyone, stable ownership, the job ranks high. Ian Rappaport right away putting out the name Mike Vrabel very quickly comes to the forefront. This isn't just put out there by these people that cover the NFL so well without it actually having weight to it. Sean, I agree that there's back channeling. I like that you point out, and that was my issue last year when they promoted Jerod Mayo. It wasn't literally promoting Jerod Mayo. It was making Jerod Mayo the head coach without interviewing a single candidate. Right. That's a big information gathering process for teams. Bring in Ben Johnson. How do you think? What are your concepts? What will make you succeed? Ask him these questions and bring in a Mike Vrabel. Interview him. You don't get this job without the interview. Who's your staff going to be? Who is your offensive coordinator? And what will your structure be for this quarterback that we think can be the franchise guy? So if your OC gets hired, not everything leaves with him. There has to be a process for the Patriots to follow. Bring in Liam Cohen. Bring in Ben Johnson. Bring in Marcus Freeman. I don't care. Bring in Mike Vrabel. But I think it's the best point you make, Sean, is that this is the most pivotal offseason for the Patriots to date, for Patriots ownership. What do they do? Because Drake May, from what we've seen, checks every box for a franchise quarterback. You can't mess this hire up, or else you mess up Drake May in his future.
That's right.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I completely agree with everything you just said, and I do think it's interesting to hear like these reports about the Patriots job, because I was concerned. I was certainly questioning where they would rank on this hierarchy of open positions. I would have thought maybe because the talent that the Bears have, I would have thought that maybe that makes more sense, and that's a more attractive landing spot for some of these coaches. I do especially when it comes to Ben Johnson or those guys that don't have connections here. I think part of the thing that sticks out about the Patriots when it comes to Vrabel is just the obvious connection that they have. I mean, he was here last year saying, we got a game to win when he was the Titans head coach at the time. And, Patriots Hall of Famer, red jacket guy, everything. So I just think when it comes down to that sort of thing, that all of that considered is why I think that Vrabel is the best candidate, in addition to the fact that he's a proven head coach. You're not just bringing in a guy for, you're not just bringing another first-year head coach and, hoping it goes better. This is a proven guy, a culture builder, who frequently turned, chicken crap into chicken salad. Mm-hmm. So I think it would make a lot of sense.
If you're enjoying the show, be sure to check out Foxboro Rush every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We'll be breaking down all the ripple effects of the Jerod Mayo firing in New England, who the next head coach should be for the Patriots, and all the talk leading up to the draft with the Pats right now picking number 4 overall. That's Foxboro Rush, airing every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure to go to Nesson's YouTube page, hit the subscribe button, as well as all our content's on YouTube as well.
Mizzle, why is Elliott Wolf still sticking around? I mean, reports suggest that he is. We'll see what happens, but reports suggest that he is. I don't understand that at all. And there are also reports that he and Mayo didn't see eye to eye and all this kind of stuff. As we look at the report here from Chad Graff that he's expected to return, Elliott Wolf, that is. But do you believe it, and do you think it's the right move? Because for the record, if you remember, as I was telling you and George all year, that Mayo needed to get to Steppen, so does Elliott Wolf, okay? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you believe these reports? Do you agree with them? Or do you think he needs to get to Steppen with Jerod Mayo?
Yeah, I saw those reports. I know Andrew Callahan had something similar to Chad Graff. Phil Perry did have something a little bit different that, kind of was more, it wasn't saying that Elliott Wolf was gone by any means. It was just saying like the decision hasn't been made yet, essentially. So, that's certainly worth noting. I guess when it comes down to it, though, this is why I think it had so much to do with just the wins and losses, because I think if it did happen to do with just wins and losses, I think that they would be more considered a package deal. But a lot of it, to me, it was just Jerod, his messaging and the lack of progress. And I remember it was just the other day, who was it? I think it was Henry McKenna of Fox Sports. He had a quick quote from Elliott Wolf, and in the quote, Elliott Wolf said something about, the younger guys, and he specifically name dropped Jalen Polk, saying that he hasn't developed, to what they thought. And to me, it's like, okay, well, if the executive who drafted him is saying, well, he was good where we drafted him, but he hasn't developed yet. To me, that's like, Elliott Wolf putting the blame on Jerod Mayo and Jerod Mayo's staff. So I think that there are just like a number of kind of things that just stick out. But to me, the reason, if Elliott Wolf is safe, which I wouldn't have, I don't know, I don't think I would have fired Jerod Mayo if the messaging wasn't as bad. And so he was the one that was always in front of the camera. But, just after a 4-13 season, that wouldn't have been, to me, the reason to fire Jerod. It was so much more than that. So that's why I think I understand why they would keep Elliott Wolf in his position, because no, he didn't build a great roster. He didn't have a good offseason. He didn't have a great trade deadline. Getting a third rounder for Matthew Judon is without a doubt a win. But to me, it was such a small sample size. How much did you really expect him to do in just a year's time? So, and I think that's kind of what the Patriots are saying. We'll give Elliott Wolf time, and maybe they would have given Jerod Mayo time if it wasn't for all the different things that came out about it.
George is fuming at your answer, Mizzle. I just want you to know.
And Sean's giving me the truth. Sean, I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at the tone. I'm not mad at the message. I'm just mad that the thinking would be this way. Elliott Wolf has been in your building since 2020.
Yes.
That's 5 seasons. He's been there. How much time? Yes, he wasn't leading the front office. This was his first one.
Get him.
And that quote that you bring up, which I like, what Elliott Wolf said was, we're 13-3, so not 3-13, excuse me, so not good enough. Let's start there. We have a lot of needs. I would say that, I guess, what I was expecting maybe a little bit more was internal development, which is a good lesson certainly heading into next year, and that you can't always rely on that. So yes, throwing coaching under the bus. Internal development as coaching is getting better.
Right.
The rookie receivers didn't have it really for much of us. And Polk was sort of, in our estimation, a plug and play. Ultimately, to answer your question, our record speaks for itself. We didn't do enough. Okay. Plug and play doesn't sound like he needs to be developed. If it's plug and play, he plays on day one. Jalen Polk was the best receiver in training camp, and then he fell back.
Right.
Yes, that's coaching. But who was the one that pinpointed him and said, plug and play, draft that guy? Was it you, Elliott Wolf? Was it Jerod Mayo or Alex Van Pelt going into the room and saying, this is the receiver I want? I like that collaboration. Look, Again, this offseason is so pivotal. You have to get it right. You can't waste another year. You bring in, if it's a Mike Vrabel, let's say if it is a Ben Johnson, who do you want as your GM? Who would you work with? You bring in a GM and go, who do you want as your head coach? That relationship is so important because Mike Giardi also reported earlier in the week, quote, if you ask me if Elliott Wolf was given his choice of coaches, he wouldn't have hired Jerod Mayo. Nothing has been on the same page between the two the entire time. Between the GM and the head coach. You can't have that again. If Mike Vrabel can't work with Elliott Wolf, it's not going to work. That's why Mike Vrabel got let go from Tennessee. He wasn't seeing eye to eye with Ray Carthen, the GM in Tennessee, after the ownership in Tennessee fired his guy. So, and Sean, I get the messaging there, and I'm happy we brought up that part because the reports are it's expected Elliott Wolf will remain in that role. Yeah. So maybe someone comes in as an actual GM. Maybe someone's the head of football ops. Maybe someone is the president of football operations, like a Kevin Warren in Chicago. Do you think the Krafts are serious about this offseason, Sean? Because I said it can't be a Band-Aid, but are they just hoping that, hey, it's Mike Vrabel, the fans are back with us, they're good, look, we did a good job? Yeah. Or it's going to be the same thing where they don't give the full-on resources needed to make this football team work?
No, I think at this point that they must be all in on it. It's just it has looked really bad. I mean, it's looked really bad this season, but especially this last month of the season. I mean, it all started with, thinking back to who was it? Was it Jonathan? Yeah, Jonathan Kraft up in the press or up in the owner's box.
With his notes.
Essentially telling his dad Robert Kraft that Alex Van Pelt's offense looks terrible. It really did kind of start that day because then you had Jerod throwing AVP under the bus, and then you had again the Week 17 blowout, and so it kind of has just carried over from that point. But to get back to your question, yeah, I do, because when you look around the stadium, it's just there's a lot of empty seats. The parking lot is empty. I mean, they have to be taking hits at, not just ticket prices, but you're talking, concessions and a lot of that stuff. And I just think at this point, they are kind of a laughing stock. It's looked like such dysfunction. And it's at this point, it's not just 1 year, it's 2, 3, 4, we're going on multiple years of this. And I just think they have to at some point say, this is too much. And if they didn't feel that way, then why wouldn't they just run it back with Jerod? Robert Kraft already came out and said, it was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made in my life, which, whatever about that. But it just kind of to me, it does kind of prove the point. I think that they're going to make some real changes.
Hey, why'd you just gloss over that, yo? He can't be hurt and in his feelings right now. That's Measy. This is his dog. This is his boy. He had to whack him.
No, I'm sure he's in his feelings a little bit, but when your team puts up that sort of effort, and just get laughed out of the building, it's pretty embarrassing.
On a serious note, I want to read you some numbers. 22 of 29, 241 yards and a touchdown, no picks. Rushing, 10 carries, 16 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, hold on, let me give you another number. Hold on. 6'5", 246 of muscle and a rocket launcher arm. And he can throw a football over those mountains. He's fast. He's got swag. I mean, that's easy. Talk to me about Joe Milton, because I understand they're playing backups. Trev, calm down, Trev. Yep. What do you want to do? Bench Drake May? No, I don't. I'm cool with Drake. I love Drake May.
Thank God.
But Joe Milton.
Yeah.
I mean, am I reaching here? My man balled out, Smeezy.
Yeah, I think you can say that he balled out. I think it's a little bit of a reach to be like all of a sudden he's going to be this starter or top level quarterback, anything like that. But I think it's certainly fair to say he balled out. And I kind of joke, maybe this is the Patriots just screwed up their draft pick in the first round. Maybe they can turn this into a trade for, a third or fourth rounder at some point this offseason. I mean, I don't know, maybe a third rounder is probably high, but the film that he just put together, never mind, his college tape and his athleticism and all that stuff. I think that they could have, there are some quarterback needy teams. I think that have to have that conversation at some point this offseason.
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, look, the Cowboys traded a 4th round pick for Trey Lance. I wouldn't rule that out with Joe Milton.
He looked better than him, didn't he, George? I'm
just going to say, Sean, I'm not doing it to come at your Cowboys. I'm just happy Trav at the end said that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not.
Yep.
I'm not tripping on that. And by the way, I'm with you if you get a 4th round pick or something like that for him.
Yeah.
I understand it, but from what I saw, I want him as my backup. I mean, Jacoby Brissett, pack your stuff and get out of here with Jerod Mayo. Okay, see ya. I'm good. If Drake May gets banged up and I'm going to Joe Milton, I'm good with that.
I mean, not only is he incredibly entertaining. I mean, the touchdown that got called back was like entertaining. I don't know how else to put it. It was very fun to watch. But I do think and I guess there's a new regime and a new offensive coordinator, everything coming in now. But the skill sets of Drake and Joe Milton, I think you can kind of see some similarities with that, which it does make, those kind of offenses fall in line. So, yeah, I completely know what you mean. I think he would be a high-level backup at this point. And certainly, down the road, I think you can make the argument that he will be.
What you want in a backup quarterback, and you said it, like they're carbon copy. Drake May is 6'4", 225, 230.
Yep.
Joe Milton is 6'4", 245?
Yep.
But it's the big arm, the athleticism, and just if Drake May does leave the game, if he has to miss a few games, the system, the offense doesn't change because you have a different skill set. They are literally carbon copies.
That's right.
Drake May, though, the accuracy, the IQ, the decision-making, you cannot push away the processing he does, the reads he's making. He's so far ahead of where I thought he would be.
Yeah.
But Joe Milton could be a good backup. Then, hey, for a 3rd or 4th round pick, then you know what? And this is the Green Bay Packers way of doing things. The Doug Peterson way of doing things for what he did with the Jaguars. You always take a quarterback. You can never have enough quarterbacks in the room. Every draft you take one because you never know who you can get and what you can get and the value out of it. Hey, he's Sean McGuire of NESN.com. Sean, appreciate you taking the time. Staying at Gillette Stadium extra late, my man. We'll see you back on Rush very soon because Robert Kraft talks at 1 p.m. on Monday. Sean, appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. And just one quick plug: we got a ton of stuff cooking on NESN.com. Over the last 6 hours, and I'm sure for the next few days at least. So just make sure to check that stuff out.
You're the man, Sean. Appreciate you. Make sure to check out Sean McGuire and Keegan Stiefel's work over on NESN.com. If you're enjoying this conversation and the reactions, be sure to check out NESN's daily sports show, Boston's End of the Chat. We touch on Patriots firing Jerod Mayo, as well as other various sports topics trending in Boston and around the country. Available on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Twitch, and wherever else you get your podcasts. We also, on the most recent episode of the chat, have some voicemails and emails reacting to the Jerod Mayo firing news. All right, Trav, so the question is, we keep talking Mike Vrabel, and I think it's going to be Mike Vrabel.
It's cocky, bro.
You don't make this decision, like I'm saying, I think it was made a week ago. You don't make this decision that early without knowing who you're going to get next.
Sure.
If they go and get a Mike Vrabel, or if they interview and they land a Ben Johnson, I mean, the reports are out there and it's legit. This is one of the most coveted jobs on the market because you have Drake May, you have a top 5 pick, and $132 million in cap space. This is sought after. Who do you want to hear the Patriots bringing in interviewing as a head coach candidate?
Hold up, cuz. I'm gonna fold this up so it looks like what I'm going to say it is. Ben Johnson, hi. Robert Kraft, nice to meet you. This is my son, Jonathan. Look, here's a pen. Here's a blank check. Okay? Take this pen, write a number here that you want to be paid per year. You know why? I am sick and tired. I'm Robert Kraft now. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired of having defense, 3 yards and a cloud of dust. Don't turn the ball over. Game management. No, bruh. This is 2025. Okay, my son takes notes of every game. He wants offense. Did you see Gillette towards the end of the season? A lot of empty seats. I need booties in these seats, baby. Look at this. Sean T. McGuire, we just had him on the show. He tweeted this. He was there. These are receipts, not a large crowd at kickoff. Look at all those empty seats, bruh. So what I'm going to need from you, Ben, I'm going to want for you to come in here, bring your staff. You need a GM too? Elliot, you're gone. Handpick a GM. Here's a blank check. We got tons of money to spend in the offseason. We have a top 5 pick, number 4. Maybe you heard of it. Take who you want, kid. By the way, the best part of this deal is this young stud we got named Drake May calling the plays, running the show. Go ahead. Do whatever you need, my friend. Bring us into 2025 and beyond. I'd turn into Buzz Lightyear to infinity and beyond with Ben Johnson. Now, I understand there's going to be a big portion of this fan base that says, but wait a minute, Trav. Hold on a second, man. We just had a rookie head coach, and it went to hell in a handbasket, in which I would push back. It didn't matter who took over after the GOAT, Bill Belichick. It was going to be hell in a handbasket.
Yes.
You could have gone Vrabel last year. We love Vrabel. Vrabel has head coaching experience, so he would have done a better job than Jerod Mayo. He would still have the job now, but you weren't returning to glory. You weren't winning no damn Super Bowls. You weren't going to build a dynasty again that quickly. That wasn't going to happen, not with what Bill had left you. So now that we got that stench out of here after 1 year of mess, no one's going to hold Ben Johnson to Bill Belichick's standard because we just felt what hell feels like, okay? So now that that's over, give another rookie head coach a chance because he is the modern day NFL. Points, excitement, this great quarterback. All right, let's make it happen with Drake May. We'll see creativity and play calling. Bring us to the new age. I love Mike Vrabel. I think he'll do a great job here. But I think this idea that it's just Vrabel or bust is wrong. I think Ben Johnson could be phenomenal here. And if I'm Ben Johnson, as long as the money's right, I'm willing to come and play ball.
Look, you know what he'll do? He'll take that blank check. He'll go, hey, that's 10 figures. Billion, 10 years.
Hey,
Look,
man, I'm writing it. Money.
What Ben Johnson brings, I mean, experience as a quarterbacks coach, wide receivers coach, tight ends coach. He's one of the most creative offensive minds. He's obsessed. What the important thing would be for the Patriots, if they bring in a Ben Johnson, there has to be the structure around him, again, to succeed. Look, this will be his first time as a head coach in the NFL. Like, there's no two ways around it. He needs more than a Ben McAdoo as the other head coach with experience on his staff.
Yeah.
He needs an associate head coach. He needs someone with experience. He needs the resources around him. Because when Ben Johnson's at his best is when he's focusing on offense and calling plays in the game. The structure needs to be there. There will be the growing pains,
yes,
but the structure needs to be there. I like it. It's Ben Johnson. It's Mike Vrabel for me. It's Liam Cohn with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But again. And Sean said it. We've spoken about it, Trav.
Yep.
This move doesn't happen this quick, this sudden after a game without it being known well beforehand and without there being back channeling of a conversation with the Mike Vrabel. Oh, you are interested in the job? Like, actually? You're not using us for leverage? No, Mr. Kraft, I'm serious about that. But I need my people in the spots. All right, let's do it. Robert Kraft talks Monday at 1 p.m. Maybe later that afternoon or that night. Maybe that morning, an interview will already be conducted and done.
Yeah.
Then later that night, another. And then Tuesday. And by Wednesday, it's all wrapped up. Maybe they're waiting to see what happens elsewhere around the NFL. If coaching staffs are fired and houses are cleaned, lack of a better term.
Sure.
And who else is out there. But the Ben Johnson, I love it. You bring it in. That's the offensive mind. Because what would he thrive with? He just wants to know the direction, and that's why he stayed put at the Lions. It's part waiting for the perfect opportunity, but also he knows he can wait. He doesn't have to take any job because now the candidates are lining up like this, where if he goes into New England and they go, look, we messed up. Look, here's the GMs we have in mind. You talk with them. Who are you going to work with? This is the cap space we have. Here's the quarterback. Here are the pieces on offense you can work with. Here's an elite corner, an elite quarterback. We have you a right guard. We think we got you a center.
Yep.
Hey, that right tackle, Caden Wallace, maybe he becomes something. Maybe Lane Robinson does. You just need a left tackle. You need a wide receiver 1, a wide receiver 2. I know that's a lot. You need a tight end. But guess what? You're Ben Johnson. You can mold them and develop them. That's what's important for the Patriots if they go after him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, both of the guys we're talking about, and it sounds like you and I are on the same page in terms of either one will work here, Mike Vrabel or Ben Johnson. I guess my concern is that Patriots fans, and it's because Vrabel played here, I get it.
Yeah.
But Patriots fans are so fixated on Mike Vrabel. There's other options here. Now, you said Ben Johnson, the reason why he stayed in Detroit so long, he's waiting for a better situation, perfect situation to open up. This is perfect. You have the quarterback. You have money to spend. You have a top 5 draft pick. This is perfect. This is what you want. The other reports at that time, though, George, were that he didn't want to just be a run-of-the-mill offensive coordinator who got another head coaching job.
Yeah.
He wanted power. He wanted to be paid higher.
15
than,
mil.
Right, than most offensive coordinators who took the job. I know this because a lot of teams were turned off by that and just like, yeah, we're out. I remember Washington pulling out of the Ben Johnson sweepstakes and going with a Dan Quinn because they didn't like all the demands that this guy was putting out there. So I say all that to say that's why I did the blank check thing, because I honestly believe we all have a price, right? But I honestly believe if the Patriots come in and they say, listen, bro, we'll pay you what you want. You can have some power here in terms of picking your staff and a GM, as you brought up. Not you are the GM, right? But you can have some power in choosing what you want here, and we'll pay you what you want. And, oh, by the way, you have Drake May, cap space, and a top 5 pick. I mean, I think Ben Johnson is a fantastic hire. So that's all I want to do, George, is just expand the minds a bit of Patriots fans. I personally think Vrabel is a better fit where the Bears are right now. I think Vrabel's a better fit for that team and that franchise, and Ben Johnson for where the Patriots are right now. Present day is all I'm talking about. He's a better fit here than even Mike Vrabel.
I don't know. I would say Ben Johnson better off with the Bears because you have Kevin Warren, the president of football ops, Kevin Poles, the general manager,
Veterans.
Caleb Williams, a quarterback. You have 2 tackles. You need to fix the interior offensive line. DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Montez Sweat, and then you have Jalen Johnson. Like, those are all pillar positions you have checked literally everywhere at every spot. So I think Ben Johnson stepping into a situation like that, which is more ready to go, is better for him than Mike Vrabel. The type of leader he is, he can rebuild a program like he has to with New England.
Okay, let me tell you why I think he's a better fit in Chicago. Let me at least give you the genesis why I think that.
Go ahead.
Caleb Williams. I don't believe a first-time head coach is going to work. You remember we had Mike Lombardi on. At some point throughout the season, we threw that. I guess it would have been after Eberflus got fired.
Yeah, it was.
And we kind of asked him, like, what will work there? And he said it's got to be a strong-willed person. It can't be not saying Ben Johnson isn't, but it can't be someone who's so green. It can't be someone who comes in trying to figure things out. It's got to be an established, big personality coach, George.
Yeah.
Vrabel, I think, in Chicago is that personality for Caleb. Whereas Ben Johnson, smart, innovative offensive mind, that could clash. Caleb and him could clash in theory, where Vrabel's ain't going for that. And we know it. Drake May can be coached by anyone. He's just proved that. So that's why I think Ben Johnson here can be more innovative and work with a Drake May as opposed to a Caleb who could be a little more prickly and tougher to deal with and tougher to coach than a Drake May.
Yeah,
that's why I say that.
If you get Caleb seeing the field right and you get the best out of him, I don't think that kid's going to care.
I'm just saying personality. No, that's where I was coming from.
Yeah, and I get it. I think end of the day, the priority has to be football. You go, Caleb, this is Ben. He's the greatest offensive mind, not named Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur. The greatest offensive mind in the league.
Right.
You listen to him. When he says where to throw the ball and when, that's what you do.
Yep.
And Caleb will do it a little bit like, whoa, receiver's there. He's wide. Yeah, I got you, man. Hey, ride with me. I got you, man.
Yep.
Where I think with the gravity, the weight that Mike Vrabel has behind him, the experience, the presence he carries, there's such a void of leadership in New England. It is so apparent. The lack of accountability. Like Elliot Wolf, naming a player, throwing assistant coaches under the bus. Jerod Mayo, throwing his offensive coordinator under the bus. Naming names when he says he's not going to name individual players, and then naming Kayshon Boutte. There needs to be leadership and culture established. Mike Vrabel, that's why he's the guy the Patriots have to get, where a Ben Johnson will flourish in a place like Chicago. And you know what? Maybe Ben Johnson could have worked here, Trav. You go back a year ago when there were still remnants of a culture. Right. But it's so down, and you have to hit the reset buttons just all over now.
Sure.
Completely get rid of the Belichick stuff. You have to completely redo the culture.
Yes.
that maybe it wouldn't work now. It would be tough, first time head coach. But again, and I go back to, we could talk about head coaches till we're blue in the face, Trav. It's more than who the head coach is.
Yes.
It's more than who his coaching staff is.
Yep.
Who is leading the football decisions? Who is leading the football operations?
Amen.
Who is leading the personnel department? And how much resources are you actually... Is a head coach coming in? Does Mike Vrabel have one hand tied behind his back?
Right.
And he's told, hey, go win 6 Lombardis? Or is he actually given the full need that any head coach in the NFL has to succeed? I think that's the important one. If you're enjoying the show, be sure to check out Foxboro Rush every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for all things Patriots football. With Jerod Mayo fired to the Patriots picking number 4 overall, it's going to be a busy offseason. It's available on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Twitch, and wherever else you get your podcast. And also make sure to go to Nesson's YouTube page and hit the subscribe button as well. All right, Trav. So... we mentioned the final score, right? 23-16 was the final. Patriots finished 4-13. Yes, we did. Okay, cool. Titans lost. They have the number 1 overall pick. Cleveland, we know, lost. Number 2 overall pick. Giants at 3. And the Patriots are picking 4.
I
Man,
mean,
I'm happy I got one mock. Trav, can I say this? I'm happy I got one mock draft off where I got to trade back. I just got
Bro,
it.
like you can't even get the first pick right, Patriots. Like, what the hell? What's going on? Now, what did help me, because
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, bro. I was cussing and fussing, blood pressure high, sugar low. I was so mad. However, what did help me a little bit calm down was just watching Joe Milton cook. Because, my God, I mean, bruh, if Joe Milton, if they win this game and Joe Milton look like trash, because let's face it, the Bills wanted to lose this game more than the Patriots wanted to win
my
it.
God,
I mean,
yes.
it was clear to me. You take Mitch Trubisky out, not that he's some great player, but you take him out and put in, I don't even know the loser they put in for him.
Mike White.
He was, oh my God, he was awful. Like that
Yeah, that's
dude.
why they were doing something there.
Where the hell he doesn't need to be in the NFL, okay? He needs to go play somewhere else in a lesser league than this, because that was awful. But that just told me the Bills were like, we don't give a damn about this game at all. And Joe Milton was cooking, so it did help a little. But damn, man, if you had the first pick, even if you don't take Travis Hunter, which I told you from the beginning, I've been very consistent with this. I wanted Travis Hunter if you're top 3, as in 2-3, okay? If you're number 1, I wouldn't have argued with you, George. I wouldn't have been upset if they took Travis Hunter. He's deserving of being the number 1 pick if that's the direction you want to go.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if they traded back for a haul, I wouldn't have been upset with that either. But now you don't get either one. You're not getting Travis Hunter at 4. He's going top 3 because he's a top 3 dude, okay? And then you can't trade back. No one's trading up the 4 for what? This is a terrible quarterback draft. You have 2 guys that maybe, and you and I both like them, but let's face it, maybe they work, maybe they don't, okay? Then you have Travis Hunter, who's going 3 to the Giants. I already want to congratulate the kid because he's going to New York, and he feels big market like New York. So congrats to him. Who the hell's trading up to 4? Now, you're going to have your pick of some good players. Abdul Carter's there. The guy you like, Tate McMillan out in Arizona is going to be
Not
there.
at 4, yeah.
I like Abdul Carter. I like Will Campbell. They'll be fine. But damn it, man. Like, you could have had the first pick. All you had to do is what you've been doing all year. And they didn't even get that right.
Man, I mean, Alex Van Pelt probably knew he was out of a job a week ago, too. Just going double birds up to the owner's box.
Right.
You know what I was mad about? We didn't get a single cutaway to the owner's suite. Why do we always see the Krafts every week, and all of a sudden we weren't seeing them in this game? That's when all these alt casts out and these, these like you have the Manning cast, all these options. You can watch the same game on 7 different channels, 7 different ways.
That's right.
I want an owner's suite, Cam.
Oh,
I just want to locked on the Krafts as they're losing out a number 1 overall pick.
Oh,
another one locked in on Alex Van Pelt. He's just looking up, giving a S eating grin right at him. Look, picking 4 right now. It is. I mean, that's a nightmare scenario because this is
it's some good
2
players,
quarterback
George.
draft. There's
It's
good
not
players, but this
nightmare.
team needs so many picks, Trav.
I know.
Picking out one's important, but at 4, it's going to be an Abdul Carter, I think. It's either Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, which you would take. Abdul Carter, elite edge rusher. Where if Travis Hunter didn't exist, he'd be the number 1 overall prospect in this draft.
Yeah.
But there's 2 quarterbacks. which are likely to go top 3. And there's Travis Hunter, who's a number 1 overall prospect. That's why I can see them going top 3. Because I can see the Browns going Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders.
Me
I
too.
mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It could be Abdul Carter at 4. It could be, I don't think it would go Mason Graham, even though you're sticking on the offensive line. Kelvin Banks at that spot at 4, it's too rich. Because if anything, you can trade back, get picks, maybe accrue more picks, trade back into the first up, and maybe you get a Josh Simmons from Ohio State who's a top 25 tackle. You know, maybe there's the Jonas Savanea who, as the 4 months build up to the draft in Green Bay, like the fluctuation and the volatility of these stocks of these prospects go up and down, up and down. At 4, they could still get and still address a huge need. If it's Abdul Carter, I mean, their pass rush was bottom 3 in the NFL. Non-existent. Absolutely terrible. And let's say, Trev, they get Mike Vrabel as a head coach. Defensive-minded, defensive
absolutely.
background.
Yep.
He sees Christian Barmore.
Yep.
He sees Christian Gonzalez. And he sees Abdul Carter with Keon White on that D-line.
Yep.
Boom. We're going to start winning on the
It's a good
defensive line at
D-line.
the line of scrimmage.
It's a really good D-line.
Let me figure out my off-ball linebackers. Let me figure out Kyle Duggar. Let me figure out a corner too. And then you could still get a starting level tackle, which is what they need on either side. It's after free agency. I think that's pivotal. Picking 4 overall, it says Abdul Carter to me, man. And that's what stinks. Like this, we could have had 4 months of trade back talk,
I know.
number 1 overall pick talk.
It killed
the
us.
Patriots would have been in a great spot.
Killed us.
3 minutes, 26 seconds left. Bills
Yep.
are down 4. They have 2 timeouts, 4th and 8 on their own 18, and they punted the ball.
Yeah.
And that was the Bills saying, we're not helping you one bit.
We
We're
don't
losing
care.
this game.
They didn't care anyways.
And good for the Bills. They earned the right to lose
That's
a
right.
game.
That's right.
And no one will care as their fan base. The Bills won today. The Bills won because they prevented the Patriots from picking number 1 overall, man.
Yeah, no doubt. By the way, you could go Abdul Carter. You can go any of these kids at 4. I don't really care.
Yeah.
What we learned this year, though, particularly when it comes to that offensive line, they need depth. So listen, whether it's first round, second round, third, I don't care. You need multiple offensive linemen is what you need. So if you take a Campbell out of LSU at 4, fine. If you don't and you go Carter like you're saying, then second round, you better get some damn offensive linemen. Third round, go right back to the well. And get. I mean, George, we saw it's not just one standout. They need depth on the offensive line. They must address the offensive line in this draft, 4 or otherwise. I don't give a damn where you take them.
Yeah. Hey, man, my top 4 picks right now. I love you. I'm always listening. Travis Hunter, Gray Zabel, Jalen Royals, Harold Fannin Jr. Not a bad draft so far. Not a bad draft. We'll see what happens at the number 4 overall pick. Hey, quick shout out to you guys. This podcast started draft time last year.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks for sticking with us through the season. Foxboro Rush is not going anywhere. Always new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every week throughout the year. Now it's draft talk. Now it's coaching search talk as well.
Yep.
We will have the latest from Robert Kraft's press conference that he'll be holding Monday at 1. And as the Patriots try to find their next head coach and build towards the future.
Yep.
He's Travis Thomas. I'm George Balekji. This is Foxboro Rush. Appreciate you guys making us a part of your day. The season is gone. The offseason is here.
Yes.
But for the 3rd time in 3 years, there will be a new head coach for the New England Patriots. Someone else will be rocking that headset and hoodie on the sidelines. He's Double T. I'm GB. Have a good one, everyone. We'll see you guys next time.